What's going on? All right. Man, I've tried streaming these last few days and this has been met with difficulty. You might have seen a live stream pop up and then I pull it down right away because something with the audio wasn't right. So in the spirit of that, I didn't want to give y'all anything with bad audio. I changed some settings and what ended up happening is I was getting double talk and so forth. But I felt like today was the perfect time to get some shit off my chest. And what prompted this was that I was watching a show on BET. Now the show is called Zatima. And this particular episode, I think it's season 3, where Zach's mom was in the hospital. She had OD'd or whatever. And they were faced with a difficult decision to pull the plug. And you had the brother who wasn't on board, who just wanted dude to pay for everything and keep her alive as long as possible. But on a side note, he just really wanted the money that she was bringing in. And that kind of resonated with me because I was in a similar situation where back in 2003, my mom got sick. I'm going to try to get through this the best I can because I don't think I can move forward talking about these issues with black men and the trauma that they faced until I face my own issue. And I thought I dealt with it pretty well until I saw that scene and I almost broke down. Now I say that because, having been faced with the same situation, it can be difficult. Tensions are high. And despite how delicate you try to handle the situation, like everybody's emotions are at 100%, just raw emotion, because back in 2003 when my mom got sick, I was stationed in Georgia. I couldn't get to her in time, so my aunt came down from New Jersey, came and scooped her up, took her to the hospital. I immediately put in my emergency leave paperwork and took off. I think I got about a ticket in every state that I ran through because I was driving over 100 miles an hour trying to get home to see about my mom or whatever. And on the way, I had to pick up my brother. By the time I got there, she was incapacitated and the doctors didn't know what was wrong. So I picked up my brother. We drove up to New Jersey, that damn turnpike, spending like $30-something on tolls and whatever, just to sit up there with her. Now, when you're on emergency leave, depending on the leave, they burn up how many ever leave days you got. I went way beyond that. I was in the negative by the time everything was through. Went up there, saw my aunt, then we went straight to the hospital. Just to see her in the bed, just like Zach's mom on the show. At that time, there was no brain activity. The doctors couldn't explain. The symptoms were similar to where she had they thought it was a stroke, but then they couldn't explain it. They did CT scans, the whole nine. Showed she had softening of the brain. To this day, I haven't looked into it because it's too difficult to sift through the information to try to figure out what exactly happened. So on her death certificate, it says unknown. But throughout the whole ordeal, my younger brother was stressing out. I'm trying to stay calm and keep everything together. My aunt, she didn't stay at the hospital with us too much because that's her older sister. And I understand it was too painful for her to watch her go through it. Imagine how that was for her only 2 sons who were sitting there in the hospital. I mean, here I am, I'm barely 20 years old at the time, trying to hold everything together. Army soldier, my brother never left home. He was the only one still living in the house. with her around the time all this stuff happened. And to this day, I don't know where my brother was when all this was going down, but I just know that I had to pick him up. You know, a week or two went by. And the craziest thing is that, you know, I was married at the time. I took off, went on emergency leave. My wife at the time could not join me because her mother was also battling cancer. She was in the hospital with her mom. So at the same time, both our parents were in the hospital battling these life or death situations. Kind of hard to divide your time between the two. So I had no choice but to be in one place while she was in another. And while I was gone, going to the hospital every day, driving back and forth to Maryland to take care of her affairs and deal with the house and stuff like that, you know, I had this garbage ass younger brother who wasn't, you know, I understand, like, he was emotionally stressed, but he didn't help out with anything. You know, I wanted to spend all my time at the hospital, but he had to get back. He had to get back because he had something, whatever the fuck going on. So I was driving up and down the turnpike damn near every day, it seems. And the only reason I did it because I got tired of hearing him bitch, and he was making a big scene while we were at the hospital. So rather than get kicked out, I would take him back home. And I should have just left his ass there and came back up, but, you know, I'm exhausted. You know, I still haven't slept much since I drove up to Maryland, you know, from where I was stationed at in Georgia. You know, barely sleeping 1 or 2 hours, you know, calling the doctors, talking to them, seeing what's going on, as a concerned son should. Meanwhile, my brother was running around with different broads and inviting his friends and stuff over. When I got to the house, it is funny because when I think about it, when I thought back to what happened during that time, when I got to the house, this dude had a bunch of dudes in the house. Everybody smoking and drinking, this and the third, coming by, you know, showing their you know, giving us their condolences to what's going on. I guess it's the right word. And yet, you know, this dude up here, he's smoking and drinking. All of it is really a distraction to what's really going on. And the most important thing was getting back up, just staying by mom's side. And I truly think that had we stayed by her side the whole time, she might have pulled through. She might have pulled through. You know, and I still live with that to this day. As terrible as she treated me growing up, and I know the reason why, because I look so much like my father, who she couldn't stand. I had an opportunity to return the favor, and I didn't. I mean, nobody's to blame but me. I'm the oldest, the most responsible, the one that took the brunt of all the bullshit that was placed on me. The only one with some damn sense to go off and make something of myself, right? And yet that one TV show triggered me and all these memories came back. See, me and my brother are two different sides of the coin. Where I had good grades and did my best, and I received none of the support that I should have. But I digress. You know, when it came to, you know, a week or two later, when the doc said, you know, there's no brain activity, we don't know what's going on, they were running test after test after test, I stayed there. And I made him stay there longer. You know, I was stressed to my wits' end because I never dealt with anything like that. Sitting by the bedside, just hoping and praying she would wake up and come back, no matter how, you know, all the, you know, everything that I had gone through was out the window. I didn't care in that moment. But all my brother could think about was getting back to his niggas. smoking weed and drinking the liquor I had bought. That's all he could think about. And on the night before she passed, well, the night that she passed, he was in there just acting a damn fool, to the point where, you know, they had let us, you know, they were gracious enough to let us stay by her bed because, you know, after visiting hours, they don't have to let you stay there. They could, you know, tell you, ask you to, you know, wait outside in the lobby until visiting hours resume. But he was acting such a damn fool after hours. I was like, no, man, we got to go home. I got to take you home. Because he was bitching about going home. Now, this is the son who was never taught anything. Always there, never worked for anything. My mother was killing herself to put Jordans on this man's feet. I'm 2 years older than him. I was 20. He was probably like 18. Graduated, didn't have plans for shit. And she used to bust her ass to make sure he had everything. And this is how you act? Okay. So I took him home. I want to say it was like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. You know, I'm like running on fumes because I had been at the hospital all day, eating BS food at the hospital. And then I get home, and no sooner did I close my eyes, it seemed like no sooner did I close my eyes, I got that phone call from the doc telling me she was gone. And I ain't gonna lie, I sat there and I cried for a minute. Because even though my brother was being an asshole, I knew he was high and drunk, probably asleep at the time. But I dreaded having to walk into that room and tell him, hey, get up, bro, we gotta go. But I did it. Told him what happened. Like, doc called me that she flatlined and they couldn't bring her back. The only things that was keeping her alive was the machines, but even the machines couldn't keep her up. Now, I just recently told my wife this story as I was, I had tears balling on my face when I saw that scene where you had to make that difficult decision, because that was one of the things they had asked me, and I knew my brother wouldn't go for it. Crazy, right? So we get up, we run our ass over to the hospital. You know, this is New Jersey. You hit the turnpike, get there, try to figure out what's going on. You know, they couldn't bring her back, and all I could do was go up to the hospital and see her while she laid there. And then prepare for the next day. I had to call my aunt during that time, you know, her younger sister, and let her know what happened. She was inconsolable at the time. A difficult time for everybody, as you can imagine. A person who I would learn later who was there for everybody. Who was there for everybody. I mean, what do you do with that? Who was there for everybody? Sorry about that. I had to mute this other screen so I can monitor what's going on. You know, bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this, and you'll see where I'm going here shortly. So after everything, you know, was said and done that night, you know, I go back I drive all, well, I think I either went to my aunt's house or I drove all the way back to Maryland. It's still kind of fuzzy to me because like I was just traumatized at the time. And I get to work immediately the following day because I didn't really have time to mourn. I didn't have any money. Had to look through a bunch of paperwork to figure out what can I do to send her off properly. I did all that. I would ask my brother to help me out. His mind was gone. Again, all he was concerned with was getting high and everything else, and he didn't give a shit about what was going on. I had to let him know what the arrangements were. After the fact, I had to go to the funeral home by myself because my aunt was too far gone. She was just, so hurt at the loss. But somebody had to do it. I had to go to the funeral home by myself and flip through those books, pick out a casket, flower arrangements, send out, invitations in a short time. Because again, I don't know how this stuff goes. I was limited on the amount of money I had. I basically had nothing. Kind of find out her insurance had to sign over to the funeral home just to cover everything and let her medical take care of whatever her medical bills she had. 20 years old, and I had to make all these decisions. Most folks my age now are probably just now burying their parents, but you're talking about a guy who just really was getting started on life. I had to make one of the toughest decisions I had to make, as far as your parents go. I thought I had, excuse me, I thought I might have had 20, 30 years to repair the relationship, get advice, and so forth. I didn't get none of that. And all the while, I had to do it by myself. That's the sad part of it. But fast forward a couple months later, I get out of the army. Hold on. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. All right, so fast forward a couple months. I'm squaring away her affairs, trying to get all her bills in order. She had a house she owned at the time. So I'm doing all the paperwork, trying to figure out what to do with her house. Because, hell, I wasn't living there. I was still stationed down in Georgia. And this idiot brother of mine who didn't have no job or whatever was trying to keep the damn house. All right, well, whatever. Whatever money from the life insurance. So, dude, you gotta keep up the mortgage. Well, if you're gonna stay here, you gotta keep up the mortgage because anybody knows when folks die, the worst comes out of people. And during that time, I'm trying to do what's best for the both of us, trying to get us some, trying to take care of everything and deal with her assets, which was just the house and whatever jewelry, whatever she had in there. I'm trying to deal with all that. I had to force this dude to sign over to make me the power of attorney over everything because he didn't know how to handle it, yet he didn't want me to make all the decisions. Like it was the weirdest shit ever. So we did all that. got the house, I took control of all the affairs. I'm like, all right, cool. I think we should sell the house and you move out. That way you have some money to take care of yourself. Granted, this dude didn't work. I want you to keep that in mind. We got a decent amount of insurance money. I was like, well, he didn't agree to that. He's like, no, I'm not selling the house. I'm going to keep it. Like, well, you got to pay the mortgage. I told him that. Then I went back to my duty station, you know, after I paid a few bills or whatnot to get a few things caught up. I went back because I didn't have a choice. I was out of leave days. I was already in the negative. Went back. There's no reason for me to stay. So my plan was, you know, I had split from the wife during that time. Like, you know, her mother died 2 weeks later, mind you. But that's not the reason why we split. She tried to stab me, so that's why we split, just so y'all know. So through all this turmoil, we split. I get out the Army. I go back to Maryland. And I had intentions, because it was a 3-bedroom house with a basement, you know. I was going to go back there, have a place to stay and whatnot. Get there, you know, after I got out the Army. Come to find out the mortgage is behind by like 6 or 7 months. Around the same damn time that I told this fucking idiot to go down there and pay the mortgage. That's how far I was behind. So I was like, no problem. We'll figure it out. He burned through all his cash that he got from the insurance. And then decided that he needed more money, because I had sent him like, you know, $5,000 prior to me getting there to help him with the mortgage. And then decided, you know, still didn't have a job the entire time. He was just living off the money, but not paying any of the fucking bills. So I get there, I start getting the mortgage caught up. I was still a few months behind getting all the bills paid up, put a bunch of shit in my name just to get everything caught up. And I was working 2 jobs. Now this fucking idiot decides not to work. I'm like, dude, you need to get a job. I just got here and I got 2. Like, what's your problem? You know, I'm busting my ass trying to save this place, because my intention was just take the house and sell it right from under his ass. I ain't even gonna lie, because it was too much to keep up, and I'm doing all the work. Why not? You know, he would walk away with half the proceeds, and I ain't got to worry about him no more. The house was worth $300,000. It would have been $150 both ways, and we could have walked off and did our own thing. But, you know, since I couldn't get him to agree with it, I would have to get a lawyer involved and a court case just to split the assets again. It's really weird how Maryland law works. So from there, you know, I'm working, I'm paying stuff. We even had another roommate who was paying more than he was. Then one day I walk in the house, you know, after a long day of work, because I worked at the research lab for the Army, and then I worked at Best Buy part-time, so I had 2 jobs. I came in, went to go pour me a cup of liquor or whatnot. All my liquor gone. House full of niggas, all my liquor gone. So I look over to my brother, I'm like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, where's my fucking liquor? And he didn't have an explanation. All these dudes sitting up in the fucking house, you know, dudes on the back porch smoking weed. All my liquor gone. That was the last damn straw. That was the last straw. I kicked everybody's ass out of there. I was like, I don't care where the fuck y'all go, get the fuck out of my house. Get out. And he was pissed because I kicked niggas out. I kicked bitches out. I didn't give a shit. Because I'm busting my ass, working, 16-hour days, barely sleeping, barely eating. And this dude sitting up here, I was like, I need to talk to you. It was just me, him, and my roommate. You know, after everybody left. So I tell this fucking idiot, I was like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm about to bounce. Like, yo, come on, man. Yo, I understand you. I need to get a job, but this, that, and third. Like, man, I'll do it for you. I was like, do what? sit on the couch, smoke weed, drink my liquor, and screw chicks all day? Yeah, man, I do it for you. Oh, hell no. I told my roommate, like, hey, you might want to find somewhere else to stay because I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? I bring a majority of the money in this house just to, just for this nigga to fuck off, fuck him, and fuck everybody else that don't think I'm right. But I told you that beginning story for a reason. Because I want to tell the rest of y'all, do not be afraid to cut people off. Because this is not, that's the major incident where I decided I didn't speak to my brother for years after I bounced out of that situation. As you can imagine, I'll tell you what happened. I left. The roommate left. The house went into default at that point. I was working with the mortgage company to get it caught up. I agreed. We made arrangements. We made agreements. And I was making the payments on time. But after a while, I called them back. Like, look, like, it's me and my brother. We are in charge of this house. However, I've been the one making the major payments. And this idiot did not want to contribute his part. So I'm done. I was like, I'll give y'all the house back. And I left. The loan defaulted. He had no choice but to find somewhere else to go. That was the first major time that he burned me. Like, we was kids, he used to do stupid shit that I didn't like. But he burned me on this one. We could have either kept the house or sold it had he contributed. We could all, the house was like halfway paid for. We could have at least walked out of that house with the half of 150 grand, or we could have fixed it up and then sold it or rented it out, and it would have been generating money for us to this day, because I'm pretty sure it's worth a lot more today than back then. But because of certain people's selfishness, walk away with nothing. And I don't know about y'all, but that, peace of mind is priceless to me. And I walked away. Fast forward to a couple years ago when I came out to the West Coast. Same guy, down on his luck, in the hole phenomenally for child support. I extended a hand again to help him out. Brought him out here. After me and the ex-wife, we got back together, tried to mend some things, and then it ended up falling through again. She bounced. He's still here. So his idea was, I'll help you pay the bills, pay the rent, because I was renting a house, big ass house, ridiculous, $1,700 a month for a 5-bedroom on the West Coast. Easy. Same scenario, except this time he had a job. Every time he got paid, his ass would disappear. I wouldn't see him for a week, couple days, whatever, on end. Every time he got paid. Didn't contribute nothing to the house. I was in the Army then, and I'm paying all these bills, sending her money to, because you're mandated to send folks money. And I'm still dealing with all this stuff. I'm 85% of the money that I had was going out the door as soon as I got it. No help. Now, this is my brother, my flesh and blood, who we grew up together. And his excuses always was, well, like, you're the older brother, like you know all this stuff. You know how to take care of things. You know how to maintain a house and stuff. I don't know how to do any of that. Like, well, you can learn. That's my response. You can learn, and you can do your part. Now, this time around, I couldn't kick his ass out or bounce because my name is on the lease. He's on the lease. Like, it was like having the roommate from hell. You show up, all you would see this dude is coming and going. His ass would be gone by the time I got home. Just so he didn't have to come see me and talk about this money. And then finally, when that lease was up, I was like, I'm done. Like, you will never live with me again. I should have learned the first time. But I figure after a couple years, after I helped him, put him up in the house with us, me and my kids, and I helped him get straight. He was able to get a job, pay down his child support so they didn't lock his ass up, got his license and shit straight. And he did it to me again. So let that be a lesson to you. Do not be afraid to cut people off. I don't care if they blood, friends for a long time. Don't be afraid to cut these people off. All they do is leech off of you. You could be an upstanding dude. I made everything happen. My ex-wife didn't have to pay no bills. I made sure all that shit happened. My current wife ain't got to pay no bills. I make sure everything happens. I pay the cost for a reason. Because I think that's what men are supposed to do, despite what's being put out here on the internet. But what I don't like is that we got other black men, even your own blood, who don't want to stand up and do the same things that you do. I think we would get a whole lot further if we had more men like myself who contribute and make sure shit gets done. Because not only did I pay all the bills and help another brother get on his feet, I also mentored him and told him what to do and taught him certain things. The dude is in the same field that I'm in, making roughly about the same money that I make. Do you think he came back and offered me any type of money for what he owed me? Hell no. As a matter of fact, 2 months ago, I shot him a text message. I ain't even want to give him the courtesy of getting him a call, because he would call me every now and then, knowing how shitty he's been, and asked me to help him with stuff, because I was ASE certified mechanic and stuff like that. Now he's having issues. Now you need somebody. Now you need favors. Now you need this and the third. And I sent him a text message like, look, man, I'm done with you. I'm officially done with you. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't say nothing to me. You don't exist to me. And you can't be afraid to do that to people, because you don't need leeches in your life. All they do is drain all your energy, derail you from what you're trying to do, just so they can take advantage, just so they don't have to pay as much as the next man. And what I used to tell them, like, you have no problem going to other folks and paying them, but you don't want to pay me? It don't matter what it is. And I think that's the problem with a lot of black folks. You don't want to pay other black folks, so you don't value them. If I met somebody else, another brother like myself, who is professional, knows something that I don't know, I pay them. When I'm in the chat rooms of folks on YouTube and they give some good information, I pay them, because they don't have to do it. And it sickens me that I had to do it to my own family. Like, look, I'm done with you. You don't want to pay me for the knowledge that I have? Fuck it then. Go pay somebody else. You're going to pay more. You're going to let them run their pockets. Don't ask me for shit. And it's crazy that it's such a simple TV show brought all that up, brought it all the way back to me. Because, sometimes when bad things happen to you, you block it out. You don't even talk about it. You don't think about it, because it brings you back to a bad place. But what sparked me to talk about this on YouTube was that I got a voicemail. This dude been blocked for 2 months, and I got a voicemail complaining, trying to turn things around. Like, we supposed to be family. Nah, bruh. Family don't do what you did to me over these years. Oh, and by the way, it came out that, I had asked a question, and I know the answer to this question because somebody else brought it to my attention. So when I asked you, brother, did you fuck my ex-wife, you didn't answer. So now we know the answer to that question. But yet I'm supposed to continue to be nice to you, pretend like we're family. I know a lot of brothers who probably watch this video will probably relate to what I'm talking about. It's absolutely ridiculous. The black community will never be repaired, but you got too many people like my brother running around seeing what they can get out of one another rather than helping people and actually legitimately, honestly helping people. I'm not asking for anything on this YouTube channel. All I did was I posted a couple videos. I talked about a few issues, a few social issues for a reason. But I did post a video of what you can make as a blue collar man. At the minimum, you're going to make $60,000 because I'm trying to help you. It may not be what you want to do, but sometimes you got to swallow your pride, lace up your fucking boots, and go do some shit if you're trying to get somewhere. Nobody said you had to do this shit forever. And yeah, manual labor is how this country was built. What makes you too good to do a little bit of manual labor, get paid for it, so you can have a better life for you and yours? Everybody ain't got to be an electrician like I am. The work is hard. Yeah, you're tired at the end of the day. But my time is worth more than yours. My 8 hours is worth 4 times more than yours is. And that's not a flex, that's not bragging, that is fact. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get on nobody's head about nothing. But I explain my story and some of the things I went through because I don't want anybody else to go through it. I don't want anybody letting their family drag them through some bullshit just so they feel comfortable. And one thing I explained to my brother many years ago was that, you know what white people do? They go where the money is. You might be from Chicago, but don't be afraid to move to New York for opportunity. They will chase stardom and go to California, hang out at fucking movie studios till they get on. A lot of black folks don't do that. They want to stay where it's mostly brown people so they feel comfortable. Or go where mama said go, or take the safe jobs that mama said take. I never did any of that. My mother begged and pleaded with me not to join the army, not to move away from home, not to do this, not to do that. Why don't you stay here and get you a nice government job? Your dad, I'm pretty sure, can hook you up, because my dad worked for the Department of Labor, directly for the Department of Labor. And I could have went that route. I got an aunt who used to work for the CIA. Could have got me a cushy ass job working for them. I didn't want none of that. I'm not dealing with that, the safe spaces, the safe bets, nothing. I got to strike out on my own. And it wasn't until a few years ago, when I got my brother out here, because I was trying to teach him, like, yo, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to depend on your buddy who or a friend of a friend to get you a job. That's the type of guy I am. I stood up and I tried to make things happen. I tried to show other brothers what the opportunities were. Some listened, some didn't. Some didn't have to come out here as far as I did to find the same opportunity. They found it right at home, but they jumped into those type of fields. The only sad part is they stayed at home. And the problem with staying at home is that you're right there and you could possibly get in trouble. A lot of folks move away from home, away from, the old ways and stuff like that, because it's easy to get pulled back into them. And I don't mean to preach or nothing like that, but I'm just tired, man. I had to get this off my chest. Yeah, it was traumatizing. Yeah, I'm a little broken because of the situation. But at least I could share that with y'all. And I don't care if people judge. I don't give a shit. But having my brother deal with me, treat me like some regular person off the street really bothers me. Having folks who come back into my life, not just him, but people that come back and try to come back into your life that have done nothing but make you miserable, it bothers me. And it should bother y'all too, but you don't have to accept that. You don't have to deal with that. He was the very last person that I was taking shit off of. Everybody else has been gone. I've blocked them on all my social media, Facebook, whatever. They've been gone. If you was a friend of a friend who knew what was going on, who did me dirty, you got it too. Because chances are, if I found out you had anything to do with it, you was gone. And that's how I've treated people. Is it a asshole move? Maybe. It depends on how you look at it. But don't be afraid to cut people off to get where you need to get in life. Because if they're not helping you, a lot of times they're not helping you, encouraging you, motivating you to move forward, leave them the hell alone. If they plan on staying stuck or staying doing the same things that they've always been doing, leave them the hell alone. You benefit nothing from that. And that's exactly what I do to my very own brother, my younger brother. You know, tried to wish me a happy birthday. I don't want to hear that shit. Ain't nothing happy. Nothing. As a matter of fact, you know, I lied a little bit. He's burned me twice, actually 3 times. Because during that time when we had that lease, I came up with a plan, and this is going to blow your mind. I came up with a plan. I study stocks quite often. I'm doing pretty good right now, okay? But had he dealt with my plan, or had I not hitched my wagon to his plan and figured out another way, we'd both be millionaires right now. Multi-millionaires. And the last time he came to talk to me about investment, I pulled I told you so and threw it right back in his face. Because the whole time when we had that lease and we were living in the same house, he was too busy running around, flashing money at broads, buying clothes, buying shoes and shit like that, to the point where my son thought that shit was cool and I tried to talk him out of it. And now he's an adult trying to keep up the same lifestyle and it's not working for him. But back to that situation, I had an idea. I was studying the stocks. I seen how they were talking about Amazon. This is back in 2014, and how everything was shaping up. How a lot of these box stores were going to be in trouble soon. So I took that advice. I was using my instincts. Like, all right, cool. We had the lease. If this dude would have paid half the bills like he said he would, half the rent like he said he would, half of everything like he agreed to, and we both would have saved half our money and threw it at these, there's 4 stocks. There were 4 stocks I was looking at. I had them in my portfolio. I would have had the money to increase what we put into them. And had we done that for a year, just throwing money at these stocks, they were doing nothing but going up. And then 2019, here comes the pandemic. Amazon freaking jumped through the roof. I estimate, based on my calculations, I would have been able to throw at least $2,000. He might have been able to do like $800 or $1,000, but I would have been able to throw $2,000 per month at all those stocks that took off during the pandemic. I had them in my cart, in the portfolio. That was the plan, and I did the math. And then when he asked me about stocks later on during the pandemic, you know, we had a slight falling out during the pandemic. And I told him, I was like, here's the math. This is what I have. I still have the notebook I wrote it in. And I showed it to him. I told it to him because we were on the phone. He had nothing to say. All he said, yo, my bad, yo, I just wasn't thinking. I wasn't in that mindset back then. So the fuck what? You know what a lot of wealthy folks do? They're always in that mindset. How to make their money work for them so they don't have to work at all. So what? That's not an excuse. I've always had a money mindset. I've always looked at the stocks. You know, after that whole ordeal during that year, you know, and I'll take responsibility for my part, I kind of stopped looking at it because the plan failed, so I was looking for something else. I was upset. I was disturbed. I didn't want to bother. I was unmotivated at that point, having to bust my ass all day every day to keep a house together, because I still had my oldest son who was staying with us. I was more worried about his well-being than anything. But had I had the help from another fellow black man to get up, we'd be millionaires today. And I remind him every time he talked to me about investments, after he burned me on so many things, I've come to this conclusion. A lot of us are in our own way. A majority of us in our own way. Buying all these Jordans and designer clothes and spending money on stupid shit, weed, alcohol, liquor. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I partake in my fair share of liquor. I get it. But, weed is, in my opinion, is more expensive than liquor in most places. I don't do it every day. I don't do it all the time. I don't buy Newports. I don't smoke. That's it. I'll buy beer. That's it. But I know folks, that's all they do. That's all my brother did. Smoke weed, drink, get effed up all the damn time. But had that money worked for us, or had I been able to take advantage of it, we'd have been straight. I wouldn't even be talking to you right now on YouTube, except to tell you how you can get where I am. I'm closer now today than I'm a lot closer now, but it wouldn't be this hard. And I think that other groups of men have figured it out, and we need to take notes. We need to take notes. Don't be afraid to excommunicate certain people from your group. Only keep certain types of friends. Only keep certain members of your family near you, because everybody's not going to share your vision. Some of us were blessed with the vision, and like I said, I did the math with $1,500 a month. Shit. I did, man, I don't have my notebook near me, so now I got to do it manually. So let's see here. 1,500 times 12 is $18,000. $18,000 I would have thrown in that year at the Amazon stock. That would have got me a whole bunch of stock. And knowing what I know, rolling everything back into the stock and taking, I don't think they gave a dividend back then. But just rolling everything back and back and back into the stock, and by the time it took off, we'd be multimillionaires. Because I would have kept investing even after that year. But I would have got in good at a good price point. And I live with that pain every day of what could have been. I'm not all about money, but I know money makes your life a little bit easier. But here I am. Not just a lowly electrician, because I make decent money. But I wouldn't have to be. I mean, I love what I do. I mean, everything happens for a reason, but man, wouldn't it be nice to leave your kids something? Because I would never stop working. I'm not that arrogant where I got money now, I'm gonna stop working. No, I'm not that type of dude. I could have kept building. That generational wealth that everybody talks about. The opportunity was right there, slipped right through my fingers, hitching my wagon to somebody who didn't deserve it. So I take responsibility for that. I own it. The only part that I'm not taking responsibility for is the part that other people play in your life. And you can't. You just can't. So fellas, you find a good group of people, and good group of guys, good woman, whatnot, who supports everything you're trying to do. Because even the ex-wife that I had at the time, she wasn't too big on investing either. She didn't see the need in it. She was like right then and there. What I'm worried about right now and I was focused on the future. And it's the same thing with other single mother raised males. My brother was, he didn't have the mindset. My mother was single at the time. She dealt with him more than I did. But now he's learning. But it's a little too late. How many millions of dollars got to slip through your fingers before y'all get it? Anyway, before I close this out, I just want to say, fellas, take care of yourself. Go to those YouTube channels, Lead Attorney, Pocket Watchman with JT. Coach Greg Adams does an excellent money mindset Patreon. Go check him out. There's a lot of great information out of there. And in these rooms, you will find people exchanging information and ideas to help you get up. You can't always rely on family. Even if you're the smartest person in the room, they look at you like a damn dummy. So take care of yourself, fellas, man. Just please take care of yourself. And use my story as an example. I'm getting tired. Use my story as an example. You know what I'm saying? I'll summarize here. Mother's dying. Some people don't care. You may be the oldest, more responsible, but remember, everything's going to fall on you. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Do what you need to do. And please remove the leeches. Seriously. And I'm going to end this one. I'm out.